What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we're talking some college basketball Final Four bets. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a rating and review. That helps us a ton. And we are brought to you by Bet365. They have a phenomenal offer for you guys, which you can take advantage of ahead of the Final Four. It's only available for a limited time. Right now, you can make a deposit, your first deposit with Bet365. Place a $1 wager on any market, and you are automatically going to be paid out $365 in the form of free bets. Literally free money into your account, easier than placing a wager on anything, any money line you can think of. So take advantage of this. The link is in the video description below. Terms and conditions apply. The legal age for gambling in most states is 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, the tournament rolls on with a interesting Final Four, not one we were necessarily expecting. And it kicks off on Saturday with Florida Atlantic taking on San Diego State. This spread is currently at 2 points in favor of San Diego State, and the total is 131.5, so a little lower here. And the biggest thing with handicapping this game, I think, is balancing out the efficiency metric advantage that Florida Atlantic has, and then the strength of schedule advantage that San Diego State has. When you look at overall strength of schedules, there is an advantage towards the San Diego State team so far. And I think it's a tough balancing act here. San Diego State, 35th most difficult schedule, Florida Atlantic, 114th. However, we have seen these teams play in the tournament now. Like, these aren't easy games across the board. I think you could argue San Diego State has played slightly tougher competition, having knocked off Alabama, whereas Florida Atlantic has been able to skirt by facing Memphis, and they faced Farley Dickinson thanks to Purdue, an injured Tennessee team, before Kansas State in that final Elite Eight game where Key Johnson immediately got in foul trouble, and Marquise Noel, as far as he shot them into the game, he also shot them right out of it at the end. Regardless, Florida Atlantic does hold efficiency metric advantages primarily on offense. These are two top 20 defenses, but Florida Atlantic 15th in offensive efficiency, San Diego State 119th. Now, in the tournament so far, it's not that San Diego State has improved on offense. They certainly have not. It's been their defense that's won them games. But although their defense has been strong, I think this defense is due for some negative regression. I mean, when you look at them from three, they're awesome. Second in the country at three-point defense. With that said, does the second three-point defense in the country typically hold their opponents to 3 of 27 three-point shots? About 11%, because that's what Alabama shot. Do they typically hold their opponents to 2 of 17 from three? That's what Creighton shot. These are two opponents that are pretty good at shooting threes, Creighton in particular, who went under 15% from beyond the arc against this team. Not even the best three-point defenses are holding their opponents to that sort of level. And San Diego State barely got by Creighton, especially in the last game, even with Creighton shooting 2 of 17 from three. That was a game that came right down to the wire that Creighton arguably should have won. All this to say, I have concerns with the San Diego State offense. When you're not outscoring teams and they're shooting under 15% from three, that's a huge concern for me. Even with that, you can say, okay, great three-point defense. They're not going to hold teams to that level of three-point shooting in the future, especially with Florida Atlantic. You look at their offense, they're built to beat teams like this. Florida Atlantic is 18th in the country in three-point attempts, 44th in three-point percentage. And sure, let's say that San Diego State erases that. Florida Atlantic is 38th in two-point percentage. That's where San Diego State has been weaker on defense. They actually rank 153rd in opponent two-point percentage. They have shown some vulnerabilities on the interior. Now, Florida Atlantic's not the biggest team. You actually look at the height discrepancy. San Diego State 152nd, Florida Atlantic 280th. However, Florida Atlantic does have a 7-footer in Vladislav Golden, who's played 28 minutes in back-to-back games. When games have actually mattered, he's been playing near 30 minutes and at least 25 plus. That should give them a rebounding advantage, which they do hold, and then potentially an advantage inside, which they can exploit. Overall effective field goal percentage, FAU 25th, San Diego State 223rd. In close games, I'm going to favor the Owls here. I've bet against San Diego State 4 times this tournament. I Bet on them in round one. I lied to you. I am 1-3 betting the Aztecs, whether it's for or against them this tournament, but we're going to look to get that a little closer to 500 by backing FAU +2 here. Second game, we head to the more exciting game on paper. Miami taking on UConn. 5 points, 5.5 point spread in some spots in favor of UConn. Total much higher here, 149.5. UConn has been straight up dismantling teams so far in the tournament, and it's been awesome to watch. You can see how this team was underseeded. They've actually beaten their most recent opponents by 28 points, 23 points, and 15 points. And I want to highlight their most recent game against Gonzaga, who was an offensive juggernaut. They were first in offensive efficiency and a liability on defense. They ranked 175th in defensive efficiency. Miami is the exact same. Fourth in offensive efficiency, 198th in defensive efficiency. This team is a sieve on defense. UConn is elite everywhere. 9th in offensive efficiency, 12th in defense, 2nd in rebounding. They have a drastic height advantage over Miami. Miami is 274th in height. They rely on Norchad Omier. If he fouls, this team is in deep trouble. UConn is 61st in height. They're 2nd in the country in rebounding. They're deeper than any other team left on the board. They have a slew of guards they'll play. They've got Sonogo on the interior. He's backed up by Donovan Clingan, who's one of the most exciting young freshmen in the country. This is a nightmare matchup for Miami. How does Miami win this game? They need to shoot the lights out with their guards. Unfortunately for them, on defense, UConn is 13th in opposing three-point percentage, and they're deep again. On the interior, they're 14th. They match up strongly against Norchad Omier. Meanwhile, on offense, UConn is 50th on interior offense, where Miami ranks 246th. From three, UConn is 59th in three-point percentage. They're 35th in three-point attempts. Miami ranks 134th in three-point defense. We can extend this further. Looking at turnover margin, it's actually pretty even. UConn forces more, but they also turn the ball over more themselves. Fouling, this is similar. UConn will foul a ton, but Miami doesn't generate any fouls. So a lot of these ancillary matchups you might look at, they don't favor one team more than the other. They're kind of just neutral. Split spots where UConn struggles, Miami doesn't exploit those. And vice versa, spots where Miami's strong, UConn's also strong. Turnovers and fouls bear that out. With the depth that UConn has, the pace this game projects to run at, and just the overall height matchups and defensive weakness in Miami, 5.5 points does not seem like enough to me. So this is a spot where we're going to continue rolling with UConn. I think if you want to parlay these games together, you could. If you want to use like money line parlays, UConn and FAU makes the most sense to me. But I think there's a lot of ways you can mix and match these two games in the betting markets ahead of the Final Four. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of these two games. I'd love to hear it. Reach out on Twitter if you'd like. I'm available at Matt_Gajeski, always willing to chop it up. We've only got one more game left. It's the Natty. We'll certainly be breaking it down. So until then, good luck, everyone, and we'll see you ahead of the final national championship game.